What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Vick coming at you with a brand new video, and today we got some real shit. I ain't even gonna lie, we got some real shit, man. We reacted to the video Times Radio posted saying Putin's most insane moments in Tucker Carlson interview. I got a problem with this title, but I got an even bigger problem with this thumbnail. It says Putin's losing it. Putin's losing it. You know, anybody that actually watched the interview, the full interview, like I did, Putin said nothing but facts about America, about the world politics, about everything that he was saying in the interview was all facts. If y'all really watched it, but if y'all don't believe me, listen to the rest of the video and y'all gonna see what it really is. But before we get into the video, man, I just gotta address some things about social media and how our influencers and like the news, social media outlets, how they all address things to us. It's all a Western mindset. We're the biggest news takers, but we don't never fact check nothing that we take in. You know, there's actually civilizations and countries that fact check things before they even put it on the news. So much so that by the time they actually put it on the news, stuff be 2 days, 3 days old, and the people don't even want to hear about it no more. Meanwhile, you got the Americans, first time they hearing something, they posting it on YouTube without posting it on YouTube, putting it on TV without even researching if it's true or not. You know how many fake news things done got released and then they later retracted by saying we apologize, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. It's because we're a geek for that. We're a geek for knowing the shit off the rip. They want to be the first outlet to post it. They don't care about fact checking nothing. You get what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with social media. Social media has to clickbait in order for people to click. Imagine if it said Putin's most real moments in Tucker Carlson interview. Ain't nobody clicking it. Cause that's what I'm gonna title it. And y'all gonna see this shit. The views not gonna go up on that motherfucker because people don't want to actually see the real, from an actual American perspective, looking at it in a real way, in a realist way. They want to be biased. They want to look at it because we're Americans. We should agree with America no matter what. Ever since I grew up in America, I didn't agree with most of the things America did. For one, the type of government that we have is the dumbest type of government because why would you have a leader dictate all your decisions for 4 years and then give that position to somebody else in later 4 years and they got to re-elect, they got to rerun for the position that they should have in the beginning? The only way that I really feel that we should even get another president, period, is if the president really dies. And that's how most societies do it. Russia is one. Putin has been the dictator over there, the president, dictator, whatever you want to call it. They be trying to put different titles on the things, but it's all been the same thing. Putin is the president of Russia. And he's been the president of Russia for decades. He's been knowing the in and outs about Russian government. He's been a leader of it for years. He know everything that's going on. And he's been a hand in everything that they have to do. Meanwhile, you got the U.S. presidents who every 4 years we change presidents. So there is no way that the stuff Barack Obama learned, he gonna be able to pass on to the next president, because even if he wrote notes every day of his life and put the notes in there, there's no way the next president is gonna read every single note and retain the information the same way that Barack Obama learned it. You know what I'm saying? So it's valuable information that the next president is missing from the first one that is needed to actually make decisions and be biased the way that they need to be. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand that every president we get is a different kind of human. They all see stuff differently. And none of them see stuff the same way at all. And with that is a big, big flaw because of the fact that we're missing so much information that we're needing. You know? So I say that to say this. Most of us is lost as people. We don't even know the truth about history. We don't know the truth about what's really going on. We don't know the truth about why America doing this stuff. People still think the gas prices really dictate on how good the economy is. People really think that goods costs going up and down really dictates on how good the economy is. My nigga, if we want to be real with you, the economy never been good in America ever. We're trillion, bro. We're like 30 something trillion dollars in debt. The highest debt country to exist ever. So if you think we're really doing good, understand that these other countries on the other side of the world don't even use the US dollar as the backing no more. They used to. They don't even use that shit no more. They come up with cryptos and using other currencies to dictate that because of the way that US dollar is losing money, is losing value so much. Because we just keep on printing money. But without further ado, though, I'm going to get into the video right now. I just had to address that before we even got into the video. If y'all like the intro, which I might not even have an intro in the video, but if y'all like the intro that I just made, make sure you like and subscribe, man. Don't comment until the rest of the video come up and until you have your own opinion. Unless you got your own opinion right now, go ahead, comment. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to respond to y'all, but let's get into the video right now, though.
I mean, have you achieved your aims?
No, we haven't achieved our aims yet, because one of them is denazification. This means the prohibition of all kinds of neo-Nazi movements. This is one of the problems that we discussed during the negotiation process, which ended in Istanbul early this year.
Would you be satisfied with the territory that you have now?
Нет, закончим. Вы же задали вопрос по неонацизму и денацификации.
I will finish answering the question. You just asked a question about neo-Nazism and denazification. Look, the president of Ukraine visited Canada. The story is well known, but being silenced in the Western countries. The Canadian Parliament introduced a man who, as the Speaker of the Parliament said, fought against the Russians during the World War II. Well, who fought against the Russians during the World War II? Hitler and his accomplices. It turned out that this man served in the SS troops. He personally killed Russians, Poles, and Jews. The SS troops consisted of Ukrainian nationalists who did this dirty work. The president of Ukraine stood up with the entire Parliament of Canada and applauded this man. How can this be imagined? The president of Ukraine himself, by the way, is a Jew by nationality.
Really, my question is, what do you do about it? I mean, Hitler's been dead for 80 years. Nazi Germany no longer exists. And so, true. And so, I think what you're saying is you want to extinguish or at least control Ukrainian nationalism. But how? How do you do that?
Вот послушайте меня. Ваш вопрос очень тонкий.
Listen to me. Your question is very subtle, and I can tell you what I think. Do not take offense.
Of course. Can you imagine?
He said, of course, because he's Jewish. Understand that I really don't want to get into the Jewish. You know, they did what they had to do. They did what a lot of races should have done. They did what the black people should have did. You feel me? So I can't hate on the Jews, but to think that there's still not movements like the neo-Nazis and to think that there's still not negative movements out here is really a crazy thing to believe because of the fact that just because motherfuckers like got killed and the main leader stopped, that don't mean the followers stopped. You know what I'm saying? They probably don't got the power to be able to be the best, but they definitely had the power to be able to still do and still hate on motherfuckers the way they hate on them. You get what I'm saying? They might be the minority, but if you look at the black community history, the minority could become the majority quick. I mean, quick. 50 years is quick if you look back at time. So don't sleep on these minority movements because they could definitely become a majority, man. Don't sleep. Look at history.
Imagine a scenario where you sent Russian troops to Poland.
Только в одном случае, если со стороны...
Only in one case, if Poland attacks Russia. Why? Because we have no interest in Poland, Latvia, or anywhere else. Why would we do that? We simply don't have any interest. It's just threat-mongering.
Well, the argument, I know you know this, is that, well, he invaded Ukraine. He has territorial aims across the continent, and you're saying unequivocally you don't.
Абсолютно, это абсолютно исключено.
It is absolutely out of the question. You just don't have to be any kind of analyst. It goes against common sense to get involved in some kind of a global war.
Глобальная война поставить на грань.
And a global war will bring all humanity to the brink of destruction. It's obvious.
Вот. И есть, конечно, средства.
There are certainly means of deterrence. They have been scaring everyone with us all along. Tomorrow Russia will use tactical nuclear weapons. Tomorrow Russia will use that. No, the day after tomorrow. So what?
Выбить из налогоплательщиков
In order to
США
extort additional money from US taxpayers and European taxpayers in the confrontation with Russia in the Ukrainian theater of war.
как можно.
The goal is to weaken Russia as much as possible.
Who blew up Nord?
So if you don't understand what he's saying right now, with the U.S. using American dollars, American taxpayer dollars, that they could be using them dollars for something way more important. Trying to stop Russia from taking Ukraine is like trying to take. I gotta use a real good analogy for y'all to understand. But trying to stop Russia from taking Ukraine is basically the same as trying to take a piece of candy from a baby. They're gonna try to get that candy regardless. But you gotta understand about the baby mentality. Is what I'm saying is that baby want that. That baby gonna try his best to get that. You trying to stop the baby from getting that isn't gonna stop the baby from trying to get it. If you get what I'm saying. Russia has a super big pipe or gas line going straight through the middle of Ukraine. Ukraine was originally part of Russia. If you know anything about how the United States was made, it wasn't just Eastern Europeans or Western Europeans taking United States when it first came about. It was multiple. The French, Brazilians, all regular European, Eastern Europeans, Western. It was all types, and they all owned a part of the United States until they kept on invading each other to take multiple, more and more parts until Europe won most of it off. You know what I'm saying? Now, it is some French bloodlines that stay places. It is some African bloodlines, Native American bloodlines. You know, it's all type of different. That's why America is one of the most diverse countries, is because all the countries that came in America wanted a part of America. You get what I'm saying? Until America the Europeans that won America, the Jews, whatever you want to say, the ones that won America decided what they wanted to do, and they basically got everybody else up out the way. The truth is, America has way much bigger problems to deal with instead of trying to aid Ukraine and beating Russia, which is bad in the world that they cannot beat. Because Russia is Russia. It's right there. If we wanted to go out there and actually beat them, it wouldn't be through money, because the money is just a front. The money is a front to really launder that shit. I'm gonna be real with y'all. There is no way America is sending billions and billions and billions and trillions of dollars to them. Meanwhile, they not eating off that. Meanwhile, it's not even an advantage in the war, because most of the politicians out there in America that's sending the money is pocketing the money themselves. Let's be real. You can look this up. Don't listen to what social media is telling you. Actually look these stuff up and see where that money is going. None of it is accounted for. They just sending it. It's like me sending you a cash app saying buy this. There's no proof that you actually buying that. It's unaccounted for. Just like most of the things that America deal with. And then most of the things America deal with, the same thing that they trying to get on Trump about, Biden doing the same shit. They getting leaked documents and keeping it at their houses. Biden do the same shit. You know how much shit Biden know that he ain't do shit about? Our illegal immigrant problem is probably the most craziest thing that we're dealing with, because if we can't even stop people who not even good at that shit from from coming into our country, invading and embedding in our country, illegal immigrants from coming into our country, how in the fuck could we even think that we would be able to stop the Russian force from coming over here if they deploy the same kind of tactics? Like if you want me to be real, American politics really is just a joke. We have a joke of a president. We have a president who can't even sit and give a real speech for 10 minutes without freezing up or having something not to say or fucking up somewhere. I watched the briefing that he had the other day where he was talking about the Israel and Gaza shit, and he said something about Mexico. Mexico nowhere over there, buddy. Like, this is who we choosing we're choosing people who aren't even good candidates to even be a fucking mayor, let alone a fucking governor, let alone a fucking president of the fucking nation. But it's all because they want people to have choices, right? Well, see where choices got us in the last 50 years, giving women choices. See where that got us in the last 50 years. And that's just in the last 50 years. If you really want to bring it back, take it back to that Bible, Adam and Eve. See where that happened when God gave them choices to do what they wanted to do. They fucked it up. Because that is human nature. If you give us a choice of doing what's good and bad, we always gonna dibble in the bad because we want to see what the consequence of the bad is. We just want to see. We want to be different. We want to do something different than the other people did. Even though it's proven in history that certain things work better way, we still want to be a little different. And that's what, and that different move is what fucks you up. Every time.
Nord Stream.
You for sure.
I was busy that.
Okay, let me go back. Yeah, I
Goal
didn't hear
is
that.
to weaken Russia as much as possible.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
Nord Stream is the pipeline that I'm talking about that Russia has that runs through Ukraine.
You for sure.
I was busy that day. Nate, do you have I did not blow up Nord Stream. Thank you, though.
У вас лично, может быть, есть алиби, у вас лично.
You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
Do you have evidence that NATO or the CIA did it?
Вы знаете,
You know, I won't get into details, but people always say in such cases, look for someone who is interested. But in this case, we should not only look for someone who is interested, but also for someone who has capabilities. Because there may be many people interested, but not all of them are capable of sinking to the bottom of the Baltic Sea and carrying out this explosion. These two components should be connected. Who is interested and who is capable of doing it?
There's not many nations capable of doing that. Why would Russia destroy their own pipeline? This is common sense. He's basically saying just think with common sense before you even assume anything. Why would Russia destroy their own pipeline? And who else, what other nations in the world has the access to sink a submarine with missiles and bombs all the way down to the bottom of the sea to destroy said pipeline? There's not many. There's not many.
This is your intel service.
But listen to America and they'll tell you that Russia destroyed that shit. Why would they destroy their own pipeline? Like, what?
You would, that NATO, the US, CIA, the West did this. Why wouldn't you present it and win a propaganda victory?
In the war of propaganda, it is very difficult to defeat the United States, because the United States controls all the world's media and many European media.
Yeah.
The ultimate beneficiary of the biggest European media are American financial institutions.
Yeah.
Don't you know that? So it is possible to get involved in this work, But it is cost prohibitive, so to speak. We can simply shine the spotlight on our sources of information, and we will not achieve results. It is clear to the whole world what happened, and even American analysts talk about it directly.
So basically what he's saying right here is that there is no way to beat the United States in a propaganda war because we're the most propaganda nation there is to ever exist. If you listen to America tell you how America is, you would think it's a whole different place until you actually get here. Like, people really think that America is really, like, people, if you listen to social media, you would think there was no good women in America at all. You would think that every woman was the same type of woman, but it's actually good women out here. If you actually come out here and you actually walk around in real life and meet these women, talk to women, you will see that the kind of women that people think is the most or the majority, it's really not. You know what I'm saying? And most of them really trying to learn themselves too. So you got to understand that and take that into equation as well. Because we're not taught the right way growing up. Most of us is not. You know what I'm saying? So we have to learn ourselves. And by the time we learn ourselves, we're past 25 and up. You know? And that's when a woman really coming into her prime. So by the time she really recognizing what she want to do and stuff like that, she's damn near going into her prime. You know what I'm saying? And that's a tough thing to deal with as an American, because when we grow up, that's shoved in our throat off the rip. We have the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, all that shit is shoved down our throat in school. We have U.S. propaganda in the school books teaching us about U.S. propaganda. They teach us about the slave trade and stuff like that, but they don't teach us none of the stuff that happened before, because they want black people to think they was the only slave race. Black people was not the only slave race. There was multiple slave races. There's multiple instances of the same thing that happened to black Americans that happened to other races. But due to American propaganda, black people think they're the only race that suffered from that shit. Jews suffered from that shit way worse than we did, because they was actually getting killed, tortured and shit. Literally. It was another race. I don't know if it was the Polish or what race it was. I don't know exact what race it was. But it was another race before the black Americans that they used to build shit too. Them motherfuckers was fucked up too. Now I ain't gonna lie, it wasn't as big as the American race was, because we built the whole fucking country. Don't get me wrong, we built the whole country. But it still has the same mentality and effect on your brain as even a little bit of torture had the same amount of effect on your brain as a big amount of torture was. You still gonna think about it daily. You know what I'm saying? But when you make excuses and you give yourself reasons to try to validate the reason why you act the way you act, that what messes you up, because you're gonna never try to pursue and try to act like you're better than what they told you you're better than. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna try to act like what you see because you're gonna feel like that's how you should act, because what they shove it down your throat makes you feel like that's how you should be. This is all American propaganda and social media propaganda. You know, if you never been to Africa yourself and talked to real African people, you would think that African people hate black Americans. But the only reason that they hate black Americans is because of U.S. propaganda talking about black Americans and what they see on TV of black Americans killing themselves all the time, which is what happens. But they don't ever see the black Americans that's actually doing good for themselves. They don't see that part because U.S. propaganda don't show that part. And if you also think that U.S. propaganda don't control other parts of the world, how do we have artists, rap artists, singers, all that type of stuff that could go over there and have shows and make more money than they make in America? Everybody knows you're not really making money until you go overseas and do shows out there. That's when you're really making money, because they know about our artists before, you know what I'm saying? They know about our artists, and our artists don't even perform out there. You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand that to really understand what Putin is saying with how powerful America is at propaganda. We don't hear nothing about what goes on in Russia, Japan, China, Korea. We don't hear nothing about that on America Airways. but they know about everything that's going on in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, understand that.
We negotiated with Ukraine in Istanbul. We agreed. He was aware of this. Moreover, the negotiation group leader, Mr. Arahamiya is his last name, I believe still heads the faction of the ruling party, the party of the president in the Rada. He still heads the presidential faction in the Rada, the country's parliament. He still sits there. He even put his preliminary signature on the document I am telling you about. But then he publicly stated to the whole world, we were ready to sign this document, but Mr. Johnson, then the Prime Minister of Great Britain, came and dissuaded us from doing this, saying it was better to fight Russia. They would give everything needed for us to return what was lost during the clashes with Russia. And we agreed with this proposal. Look, his statement has been published. He said it publicly. Can they return to this or not? The question is, do they want it or not? Further on, President of Ukraine issued a decree prohibiting negotiations with us. Let him cancel that decree, and that's it. We have never refused negotiations, indeed.
Evan Gershkovich, who's the Wall Street Journal reporter.
Understand that before Russia even declared war on Ukraine, they had negotiations. It's never you just do it. You always have negotiations.
He's 32, and he's been in prison for almost a year. This is a huge story in the United States, and I just want to ask you directly, without getting into the details of it or your version of what happened.
First of all, look how he looked, bro. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Does he look like a completely honest white guy? Or does he look like if you see him, you know he on some type of timing? Cause to me, he look like he on some type of timing, bro. I'm gonna be real. He look like he on some type of timing, fam. If I see him, I'm gonna move my ass around from him for no cap.
If as a sign of your decency, you would be willing to release him to us and we'll bring him back to the United States.
Мы столько сделали жестов доброй воли, что, мне кажется, мы исчерпали все лимиты.
We have done so many gestures of goodwill out of decency that I think we have run out of them.
Ни разу не ответил.
We have never seen anyone reciprocate to us in a similar manner. However, in theory, we can say that we do not rule out that we can do that if our partners take reciprocal steps. When I talk about the partners, I first of all refer to special services. Special services are in contact with one another. They are talking about the matter in question. There is no taboo to settle this issue. We are willing to solve it. But there are certain terms being discussed via special services channels. I believe an agreement can be reached.
Wait, what did he say?
There is no taboo to settle this issue. We are willing to solve it. But there are certain terms being discussed via special services channels. I believe an agreement can be reached.
You gotta understand, if Putin was really such a fucked up leader, how America paints him, how has he been the leader of Russia for that long? You know, we would actually highly benefit from having a leader. Fuck
everyone.
We would highly benefit from having a leader like Putin. You know, don't get me wrong. Yeah, they're in let me explain it right. They're in debt. You know, they're in debt by like probably a couple billion. I don't know what is that number. But 30 billion versus 30 trillion that we're in debt is a big difference. Big difference. Russia is actually feared. They don't have nowhere near as much military power as United States got. United States, America has the most nuclear weapons ever. The most, no doubt. But yet we're still scared of Russia. Because honestly, our nation really is self-sustainable right now. The people itself is what's sustaining America. Because we're the taxpayers. We're giving them the money to be able to do these dumbass things that they're doing. They really giving Ukraine money, focusing on that. As a human, you know in your personal life that multitasking, trying to get multiple things out the way at once, never works. You have to prioritize your duties and get one out the way and then go to the next thing and get that out the way. That's how you efficiently and successfully deal with things in a good manner. You can't deal with two things at once. That's like me trying to buy a car and buy a house at the same time. The only way it's possible is if I get a large sum of money and able to do it. But otherwise, if I'm working a regular 9 to 5, I have to work on the car first, and then I could get me a crib. You know, some people say it the other way, but you gotta see it. If you ain't got no crib, but you got a car, you sleep in your car. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you got a crib, but you ain't got no car, you gotta ask for rides, you gotta catch public transportation, you gotta do all this other stuff. That don't matter. The point, what I'm saying is that you have to prioritize the most important things first and get that out the way before you can focus on anything else. Right now, Russia invaded Ukraine is all a political thing that they dealing with because he want that land. You know what I'm saying? That how is us stopping him from taking Ukraine going to stop him from doing whatever the fuck he want to do after the fact? While we dealing with hella immigrants, the most immigrants that's ever came into America in 1 year be like 2 or 3 of the past years all together totaled up. It's crazy. The fact that we're not focusing on our own country before trying to stop a whole nother country proves that whoever running our country don't have the right ideals in mind. Because if he was smart, he will focus on the Mexicans and the illegal immigrants that's coming into our country, fucking our economy up even more. You have to think about it logically. The message that's coming over is mostly men. The men are trying to get regular jobs. The men don't have to want for nothing. They have to pay a minimum of what they pay you just to go to work. The most of the money that they're getting, they're going to send back to their families in Mexico to get them right. You know what I'm saying? Because that the men that come, they doing it for their families. Even the kids, you know what I'm saying? If they bring their families, they're doing it for their families to be good. Now, don't get me wrong. I got a problem with it because you could just, if you really wanted to come to America, you could do it the legal way. Like right now, if we wanted to go to any other country, we have to do it. We can't just go over there and take a flight over there and get good. We can't just sneak over there. We actually got to apply for that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of weird that he's just letting, that that Biden is just letting motherfuckers come in through the borders and get basically U.S. citizen for free. But over here sending billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine, that's not even capitalizing on the money that they're getting because they still fucking losing. All they're doing is prolonging the war. That's it. And then the Ukraine politicians over there is not even giving a fuck about the people because they been not giving a fuck about the people. Because if they gave a fuck about the people, they would have negotiated with Russia the right way to make sure that they would have been good. You get what I'm saying? So I say that to say this. At the end of the day, social media, the influences, our news outlets are all saying what they think would do the best. They don't give out the good news that's actually good because they don't think it would perform good. I ain't gonna say they don't think, they know that it don't perform good. If you have a good deed, just like Black Americans that get distinguished in their class, the Black Americans that be 10, 13, 14, that get the highest SAT scores and that get accepted to college, they don't never talk about those things. It's a lot of those. Whites, every race is all every race, but they don't talk about the accomplishments and the good things that happen. They only talk about the bad. You gonna hear about a famous person dying anytime they die. You don't even gotta know them, but you gonna hear about them dying. But you ain't gonna hear about somebody getting distinguished on all their test scores at a young age, already being accepted into college. That's what we should be glorifying. That's what we should be talking about. All the stats that you could look up on social media, that social media posting is all negative stats. The most violent cities to stay in, the you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. It's never the safest cities to stay in. The cities with the best economy. You get what I'm saying? It's all bullshit. So you have to understand that as an American, period, before you can even start even researching anything. You have to understand the bias that the media has, that American media has towards one side, which is the negatives that goes on. Once you understand that, you will understand so much more in life, and life will come to you way easier as a human being, period, because you understand that the shit that they show is all for negatives. You know what I'm saying? Now, I ain't gonna lie. Don't get me wrong. Negatives does happen, but it's way more positive energy that's going on than negative. You just have to realize that. But anyways, though, man, I appreciate y'all for watching the video. If y'all still here, y'all some real ones, man. I appreciate y'all so much. But please, could you make sure that you actually like and subscribe if you still here? Because if you like the video, you're gonna like all my videos. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, though, y'all, if y'all have anything to say about this interview or my point of view, comment it below. Whether it's negative or positive, I'm responding regardless, because we could all talk about something and come to a straight ground, you know what I'm saying? But without further ado, though, man, it's been your boy Vic. If you like this video, click this video right here to catch my next one, man. It's been your boy Vic. Peace.